Level 1. Extreme poverty. You wake up hungry. Not the mild kind of hungry where you skip breakfast. The kind that's been there for 2 days. The kind your body has learned to silence because making noise about it changes nothing. You live in a single room. Maybe you share it with 3 other people, maybe 4. The walls are thin enough to hear every argument next door. There's no insulation from the cold, no escape from the heat. The floor is concrete. The ceiling sometimes leaks. You don't have a job. Or if you do, it pays so little it barely counts as one. Every day is a math problem with no good answer. Food or transport, medicine or rent. You pick one. You sacrifice the other. Then you wake up the next day and do it again. This is hard mode. The actual hard mode. No respawns, no safety nets, no cheat codes. There are over 700 million people locked in this level right now. They're not here because they failed. They're here because the system they were born into gave them a starting inventory of nothing. You don't plan for next year. You plan for tonight. Where will you sleep? What will you eat? Whether tomorrow will look different from today. It usually doesn't. But somewhere on the other side of this level, there's a version of life that doesn't require survival every single morning. You haven't seen it yet, but it exists. Level 2. Poverty. You have a roof. That counts for something. It's a small apartment, cramped and aging, in a neighborhood where the buildings all look like they've given up. The lights flicker when it rains. The hot water is unreliable. But it's yours, or at least you pay for it. You work, maybe 2 jobs. The hours are brutal and the pay is low, but you're no longer asking whether you'll eat tonight. You know you will. It might just be instant noodles or rice with whatever was marked down at the store. You've learned to stretch everything. $1, a meal, a bus ride. You know every shortcut, every discount, every way to make something last longer than it was designed to. But here's what nobody tells you about poverty. It's not just about money. It's about bandwidth. When your entire mental energy is consumed by financial stress, there's nothing left for ambition, for creativity, for long-term thinking. Poverty taxes the mind the same way it taxes the wallet. You're not drowning anymore, but you're treading water in a very deep pool. The difference between level 1 and level 2 is survival versus stability. At level 2, you've graduated from survival. But stability? That's still something you have to fight for every single month. One missed paycheck, one unexpected bill, one accident, and you're sliding back. That's the trap of this level. You're just one bad break away from falling, and you know it. So you grip everything tighter, you sleep lighter, you worry more. But somewhere up ahead, the grip starts to loosen, slowly. Level 3. Lower class. You're working, you're consistent, you're not sinking anymore, but you're not moving either. This is the level where life becomes routine without becoming comfortable. You have a job, probably manual, probably hourly. You show up, you do the work, you come home tired. The cycle repeats. Your apartment is slightly bigger now, or maybe the same size, but in a slightly better building. There's a microwave, a second-hand couch, maybe a TV. The basics are covered, but everything around you looks like it came from someone else's discard pile. You have a car, old, loud, reliable enough most days. You pray it holds together through winter. Healthcare is still a gamble. You avoid the doctor unless something is seriously wrong. You tell yourself it's fine, it'll pass, you can't afford the copay. The social hierarchy at this level is invisible to people above you, but brutally obvious to the people inside it. Every small upgrade, a better phone, a nicer jacket, means something. Not for vanity, for dignity. You're not playing the wealth game yet. You're just trying to stay in the arena. The simulation here runs at low settings. You can see enough to function, but the full resolution of life, the version with real choices, real options, real freedom, that's still locked behind a paywall you haven't cracked. But you're building something, slowly, brick by brick.
Level 4. Working class.
Now you have something to protect, a steady income, a lease in your name, a routine that doesn't feel like it might collapse tomorrow. You pay your bills on time, mostly. You've got a small cushion in your account, maybe a few $100s, nothing more. This level is the backbone of the entire economy: construction, logistics, healthcare support, retail. The people who keep everything running, while the people at the top collect the returns. Your life is structured around your job: shifts, overtime, schedules you don't control. Vacations are rare and short. Your time is not really your own. It belongs to whoever signs your paycheck. There's pride here, though. Real pride. A kind that comes from building something with your hands or holding something together through sheer effort. You don't need anyone to tell you your work matters. You know it. But the ceiling is low. The room doesn't have a lot of height. You dream about sending your kids to better schools, about owning something rather than renting everything, about one day not having to count what's left in your account before buying groceries. Those dreams are close enough to feel real, far enough to still feel impossible. You're learning the rules of the game now, starting to understand how it works, starting to see the door, even if you don't yet have the key. The next level doesn't just offer more money. It offers something more valuable: room to breathe. Level 5, middle class. The pressure drops, not all the way, but enough that you can finally inhale. You own a home, or you're working toward it. You have a car that works reliably. Your kids go to decent schools. You take one real vacation every year, maybe two. You eat what you want, mostly. You don't have to calculate the grocery bill as it goes into the cart. This is what society calls the dream, and for a long time, it was. But here's the reality of the middle class that nobody puts in the brochure. You're comfortable, but you're not free. Your lifestyle is built on a structure that requires constant maintenance: the mortgage, the car payments, the insurance, the subscriptions, the kids' activities, the expectations. Remove one income, and the whole thing starts to tremble. You have stability. That's not nothing. After everything below this level, stability is enormous. But the middle class is a holding pattern. You're not surviving. You're not thriving. You're sustaining. Think of it as reaching a plateau in a climbing game. You've ascended. The view is better. The air is cleaner. But you're not at the summit. And looking up, the mountain still has a long way to go. The mindset shift at this level is subtle but important. For the first time, you start thinking about the future in terms of options, not just outcomes. Not just, will I have enough, but what could I build with what I have? That shift is everything. Because the next level isn't just about more money. It's about the beginning of leverage. Level 6, upper middle class. Now the game starts to change. You earn well. Your household income puts you comfortably above average. The house is bigger. The neighborhood is quiet and well kept. The schools are excellent. You drive a car you actually like. But the real upgrade at this level isn't material. It's psychological. You've started investing. Not just putting money in a savings account. Actual investing. Index funds. Real estate. Maybe a business interest. Your money is beginning to work while you sleep. The concept of passive income is no longer theoretical for you. It's in your account. You have choices, real choices. If your job became miserable tomorrow, you could afford to leave. Not immediately, not forever, but you'd have a runway. That runway is power. It changes the way you negotiate, the way you speak to authority, the way you move through rooms. The social world expands here. You're invited to things, introduced to people. The network starts opening. Not the desperate networking of lower levels, the organic kind. The kind where connections become opportunities without you having to force them. Your children will inherit advantages you didn't have. That knowledge sits with you in a complicated way. Gratitude, guilt, responsibility. You're not rich, not by the definitions that come later in this progression. But you are, for the first time in this journey, ahead of the curve rather than chasing it. The simulation has upgraded to high settings, but there are settings above this that most people never even see unlocked.
Level 7, affluent. The word budget doesn't control your decisions anymore. Not that you're reckless. You've actually gotten more intentional about money, not less. But the constraint is gone. You can buy what you want, go where you want, eat where you want, without calculating, without justifying, without waiting. Your net worth is somewhere between 1 and 5 million. You might not call yourself wealthy. That word still feels like it belongs to someone else, but you are. The data says so. You have an accountant, a financial advisor, possibly a lawyer on retainer. You've begun to understand that wealth management is its own profession, and you've started hiring for it. Travel opens up at this level. Not budget travel, real travel. The kind where you choose the destination based on what you want to experience, not what's cheapest to reach. You've stayed in places that felt like something out of a magazine. You've eaten at restaurants with waiting lists. You've started accumulating experiences that most people only see on a screen. The social stratification becomes more visible here too. You start noticing, more clearly, which rooms you're in and which rooms you're still not in. There are layers above you that operate differently, quieter, more exclusive, less visible. You're affluent, but affluence is still a public-facing version of wealth, still somewhat legible to the world around you. What comes next is where wealth starts to disappear from view, where it goes underground, where it becomes architecture instead of display. Level 8, upper affluent. You've crossed into territory that most people will never see from the inside. Your net worth is deep into the multi-millions, not in a single account, spread across assets, investments, properties, equity stakes. Your wealth has structure now. It has depth. It has legs. You don't work for money anymore. That's the quiet revolution of this level. You work because you choose to, because you built something you care about, or because the work gives you identity and purpose. But the relationship is inverted. Money no longer controls your time. Your time controls your money. The homes are remarkable. Maybe two of them. One in the city, one somewhere quiet. Both designed to feel like exactly what you want a space to feel like. Customized, considered, personal. You fly privately sometimes. Not always, maybe for certain trips, but the experience of not waiting in security lines, not checking bags, not squeezing into a seat designed for a smaller body. Once you've felt that, the old way of traveling feels like a different world. Your social world has narrowed and deepened. You know fewer people, but the people you know are significant, influential, connected. A phone call from someone at this level carries weight. Doors open that aren't even visible to people outside the circle. You're starting to operate inside systems that exist parallel to the ordinary ones. Healthcare without waiting rooms, legal teams that move fast. Access granted not because of who you know, but because of who you are. The simulation's interface has changed completely. The menus are different, the options are different, and the game you're playing now barely resembles the one that started back at level 1. But this is still the antechamber. The real room is just ahead. Level 9, millionaire. The number itself means less than people think. $1 million used to be the finish line, the final boss, the proof. Now it's the entry ticket to a different starting point. You are a millionaire. Liquid assets, investments, properties, the total clears 7 figures. But what that number actually means is this. You have escaped the mathematical trap that holds most lives in place. Compound interest now works for you at a scale that changes the trajectory of everything. Your money grows faster than you spend it. That sentence is worth reading again. Your money grows faster than you spend it. You have cracked the fundamental equation of the system. Time is currency at this level. You've started buying it back deliberately, delegating, automating, hiring people to do the things that used to consume your hours. A personal assistant, a household manager, a driver maybe. Every hour recovered is an hour redirected toward what actually matters. Your thinking has changed. The decisions you focus on are different. You're not thinking about bills. You're thinking about allocation, legacy, leverage, how to position the next decade. You have a table in this city. When you call, there's space. When you speak, people take notes. When you enter a room, the temperature shifts slightly. Not because you've done anything, not because you perform power, but because it travels with you now. But here's the contrast. You are surrounded daily by people who have 10 times what you have, and they operate at a scale that would have seemed impossible from level 5. The hierarchy doesn't end here. It accelerates. Level 10, multi-millionaire. This is where life becomes genuinely, structurally different. Not just nicer, different in kind. Your net worth sits somewhere between 10 and 100 million.
That range sounds enormous, and it is. But what it shares across every point within it is this: you are no longer a participant in the economy. You are a force within it. You own businesses, not just shares of them. You employ people. Your decisions affect livelihoods. You sit on boards. You're brought in not as an attendee, but as a stakeholder. The private jet is no longer occasional. It's the default. Spontaneous travel to any country, any city, any time, without logistics that require planning weeks in advance. You wake up and you can be anywhere on Earth by nightfall. Your homes are estates. Your healthcare is concierge and immediate. Your legal team is a unit, not a person. Your security detail is a real consideration, because at this level, your wealth makes you a target. Anonymity is now something you protect, not something you just have. The social architecture of your life is entirely bespoke. Private dinners with executives, politicians, artists, and scientists. Conversations that shape directions. Decisions made over breakfast that will affect thousands of people who will never know your name. You have generational wealth now. Real generational wealth. Not, the kids won't struggle. The next 3 generations will be architecturally protected from financial risk. The world you inhabit is real, but it's also a parallel world. It runs on the same planet, uses the same airports, eats at some of the same restaurants, but the gravity works differently. Level 11, Billionaire. You don't just occupy the world, you shape it. $1 billion is not $1 million times 1,000. The math is the same, the reality is not. At $1 billion and beyond, you have crossed from individual wealth into institutional power. You don't just have resources, you have influence over systems, economic, political, social, technological. Your name is known, not by choice necessarily, but as a structural consequence of operating at this altitude. Your investments are tracked, your statements move markets, your philanthropic priorities shift funding flows for entire research fields. You wake up and your decisions, made over coffee in a quiet room, have downstream effects on cities you've never visited. You don't travel to places. Destinations are arranged around you. The private jet is not a luxury. It is a tool of efficiency at a scale where time is worth thousands of dollars per minute. You don't wait for anything, ever. Access at this level isn't about money anymore. Money is solved. Access is now about trust networks that money cannot buy. The rooms you sit in contain heads of state, founders of civilization-shaping companies, scientists rewriting what's possible. The conversations are not theoretical. They result in things. You have teams dedicated to managing your life, your assets, your reputation, your security, your legacy. A small army of specialists exists to optimize your existence so that your attention, the most valuable thing you have, is never wasted on anything beneath your level. The question at level 11 is no longer about comfort or status or even freedom. Those were answered levels ago. The question now is, what do you build with all of this? What mark does a life at this scale leave on the world when you're gone? Some build hospitals, some build rockets, some build empires, some build walls around themselves and disappear. The weight of this level is not financial, it's existential, because you have won the game, the one that billions of people are playing, the one that started back in that cold single room where you woke up hungry. And the strange truth, the one that no level below this could ever prepare you for, is that winning the game doesn't answer the questions that matter. It just gives you more time to ask them. Every level you pass through tonight was someone's entire life. Most people are born into a level, fight to move one step up, and die close to where they started. The simulation is real. The hierarchy is real. The question isn't which level you're at. The question is, what are you doing with it?